to our interview today. My name is Ray Piper and I'm the co-artistic director of Chantry Dance.
And I'm Paul Chantry. I'm also the co-artistic director of Chantry Dance.
So today we have an amazing artist to interview. We're very excited to talk to her. We're just going to tell you guys a little bit about this wonderful, wonderful lady. So we are thrilled to be interviewing Shannon Parker today. So just to give you a little bit of information about Shannon, Shannon started her career at San Francisco Ballet, and she worked her way up through the ranks to become principal dancer by the age of 23. She's danced with Northern Ballet under the direction of Christopher Gable, and as well as dancing in France for Ballet du Rhin. Shannon has danced an extensive repertoire of classical and contemporary works and has performed in pieces by acclaimed choreographers such as William Forsythe, Paul Taylor, Glenn Tetley, and Yuri Killian, to name but a few. After 10 years of retirement from dance, Shannon decided to return to dance, and she entered Got to Dance and Britain's Got Talent, bringing ballet into people's living rooms. And now, as she is no longer in retirement, we are absolutely thrilled that Shannon has joined Chantry Dance as a principal dancer and has danced with us for the past 2 seasons, playing Alice in Alice Wonderland Through the Looking Glass and Lucy in Dracula, Welcome to D's. So Shannon really is a big part of our family. And here she is today. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, Shannon.
Hi. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
How are you coping, my darling, amongst all this craziness?
Yeah, it is crazy. We're all in the same boat. So just trying to get things done really that I don't normally get to do and enjoy that gift of time that we don't normally get to do is, dancers, teachers, workaholics, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Great. Well, we have some questions for you today. So I'm going to kick it off. Okay. I know it's a really obvious question, but I always find this one really intriguing to hear about this. So how did you get into dancing in the first place?
I started, I grew up in Las Vegas, and there really wasn't much to do where I grew up. And my mom says that I was just dancing around the living room from the age of, when I could walk, basically. She always says you were dancing in the womb. And so she put me into ballet when I was 4, and I just was captivated, just stuck with me pretty much for the rest of my life. So started out in a small school. It was called Sandy School of Dance, and they offered a lot of things that engaged me as well. So there was ballet, there was tap, there was even baton, and jazz classes, and it was basically my go-to every early evening, before dinner type of thing. So it was just, learning about musicality and being with others and being instructed in a really positive and fun environment. So it just grasped me.
Did you go from kind of, I suppose, how we would recognize just a local recreational dance school? Did you then go to a vocational school after that?
Yeah, so what happened was we moved from Las Vegas to California. And there was an incredible dance school that my mom put me into called Contra Costa Ballet in Walnut Creek. Ironically, my brother has a pizza restaurant across from that now. So it's really weird, like full circle. The school's still going. And under the directorship of Donald Eric, David Ramos, and Daniel Simmons, they decided to take a small group of us that were quite serious about our dancing, and they homeschooled us. So we had a tutor that we would meet every morning in a church hall, and it was basically like a correspondence course, but we did have a tutor that helped us in the morning. And then for the rest of the day, we would literally train all day because they wanted to train us to be professional. So, and then we do more homework in the evening on our own. So we got both of that. And that started when I was, I think, about 14 years old. So that's when it got real serious for me. I made that decision that I wanted to be a dancer and forfeit going to school and all the things that go with that. The friendship groups that you develop at school and things like that, because I had a family at my dance school. So it was a very easy decision for me. In fact, I was banging down the door.
Cool. So then when you obviously graduated from there, and then, like you said, you went to San Francisco Ballet at the age of 23, From that point onward, and you worked with several other companies, you obviously worked, like we said at the beginning, with very acclaimed choreographers. So what was it like to be in their particular ballets, and were the choreographers always around to coach you on it? And what was it like to actually have newly created roles created on you?
Yeah, it was a huge platform for my career. I was really fortunate. I went to San Francisco Ballet School from Contra Costa Ballet for 1 year, and then I got an apprenticeship with the company.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, the old director, Michael Smuin, was let go, and a new director came in called Helge Thomason, who was from New York City Ballet. And because I was an apprentice, he let go of all the apprentices because he wanted to bring in some of his own dancers. It just gave extra contracts. So I auditioned for a small company in Tempe, Arizona, and I danced there under the direction of Keith Martin, who was with the Royal Ballet. And unfortunately, after 6 months, the company folded. So I decided quite naturally to go back to San Francisco because that's where my family was. And I just nestled my way in. I just started kind of sneaking into company class because I knew a lot of the dancers from, when I had been there as an apprentice, a lot of really good friends. And I just, every day would go in and do company class. And finally, the director and the ballet mistress started taking notice of me. And it was one of those situations where somebody got injured. We were doing a ballet called Rubies, which is a Balanchine piece. And one of the core members got injured, and I was there, and they said, "Do you think you could learn this afternoon and perform it tonight?" And I was like, "Of course I can." So that situation happened, and then another couple little instances like that. So, but at this point, they were letting me definitely take class. And I'll never forget, it was the end of the season, and I was walking out of the building, and there was the administrator at the front of the building, and he said to me, "What size are your point shoes?" And I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, because the company's ordering you point shoes for next season." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You've got a job." I found out from the administrator that I got a job with San Francisco Ballet. And so anyway, long story short, I went back, had a contract, and I was in the Corps, and I got to do some really lovely things.
Mm-hmm.
And the person that really gave me my big break was William Forsythe. And he was doing a ballet called New Sleep. And he came to watch company class, and he chose all the dancers for that. I wasn't chosen. And he started it, and he was about 2.5 weeks in, and he came back to watch company class again. And he saw me, and he said to Helgi, "I'd like to work with this girl in the studio." And he literally, we worked for about 5 hours with Tom Willems, who does the music for does the scores for most of his ballets, for his pieces. And he interjected this incredible solo into a ballet he'd already started. And then I just had to play catch up. So I got this incredible solo. I'm sure everybody around me was like, "What's going on here?" And then I had to play catch up with all the rest of the ballet. And that was really, literally, that's when I got noticed by the director. It was a break, got a really incredible break. And then David Bentley came over, and he was doing Sons of Horus, and he noticed me, and he used me for a soloist role. And it just, it just evolved that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. But
yeah.
What was it actually like to work with Forsythe? I mean, how did you find that creative process of dancing with him and developing his choreography?
Well, it was such a shock in a way, because I never worked with anybody that worked with such a high energy and so fast. He's very, very intelligent. And he also works in a way that was much more contemporary than a style that I hadn't been used to. I'd done mostly classical ballet or a lot of Balanchine. But it's contemporary with point shoes on. So using different directions, reversing the choreography, things like that. It was like really was kind of overwhelming, but at the same time, it was just, it was fabulous because you were just learning as you went. But his energy and his intelligence was mind-blowing. When you're working with a genius like that, there's nothing else but respect and working in awe. So it makes you give more than 100%. You constantly are just like wanting to achieve what he's looking for. But really his sense of style, I think, was just, like I said, so different than anything I'd done before. And I really took to it. I really gravitated towards it. It felt natural on me, and it felt like a good collaboration between him. And, you know, I was very fortunate because he came back to San Francisco Ballet more, you know, many more times, and he always used me because it was just a mesh in you know, that feeling of when you find that choreographer. And I did so early on that felt like a style that I could really relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then obviously classical ballet was the foundation of the company, and you know, you had, so like we said, so many choreographers, so many different styles being included in the repertoire. Was it, were you able to kind of, like you said, physically latch on to each particular style, or was some of them more frustrating than others?
Mm-hmm. Well, I've always had an opinion in my head, or a challenge in my own head, not to get pigeonholed into anything that I've ever done. So I rose to those challenges, and you know, the classical ballet, which was in some ways very natural for me, but in other ways very difficult because I didn't have a big jump. I didn't have the highest extensions in the world, things that, you know, people really like to look at. But I had a strong technique and a strong core. And I think why a lot of choreographers used me, and didn't matter about the style of dance, was that I would work so hard to achieve what they were asking for, you know. And because of that, it made choreographers want to work with me, you know, because sometimes you can get a dancer who, I mean, not necessarily. I don't know. I can't really talk for everybody. I just know in myself, I would do everything and anything I could to get what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So the challenges I had, those little hurdles I had, once I would overcome them, it just made me feel stronger and more established as a dancer, and that was important to me as a dancer. You know, not necessarily. I didn't necessarily need a lot of rewards in being like the opening night girl and things like that, but I wanted to work with as many people and get as much style and genre into my body as possible. That was important